is this? What are these eggs? These little eggs.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a bottom board. Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah. I mean, some of them are flakes from the wax, right? As they're eating honey. Some of these are flakes of wax and a little bit of pollen. Does anybody have any idea?
Yeah.
I'd say ants. Yeah, you ever pick up a pot and the ants have started a colony underneath there?
Yeah, they're like little white.
They grab little kids and run off with them. But
It could be ants, it also could be, small hive beetle. There've been a lot.
As someone who saw a bunch of Hive beetle eggs, yeah.
okay. I thought they put those in the roof
I mean, they try, yeah, but like this, they fell down here.
okay.
There have been a lot of individuals reporting small hive beetle major issues this year, in fact decimating colonies. I, so far in my years, have not had many issues with small hive beetles. I've known a lot of people that have, and once you have an infestation in your yard, it's really something you wanna stay ahead of once you start seeing small hive beetles get on it, because once you have an infestation, it's hard. Having some small hive beetles is normal, but just to go over the life cycle again, and those eggs are about 2/3 the size of what the eggs are of honeybees. So they're a little bit smaller, but your hive beetles, you know, when you open up your hives, they don't like light, right? And the bees will chase them around, but they can't sting them because their outer shell is too hard, so they can't sting them. So the hive beetles are looking for those nooks and crannies and corners where the bees aren't so numerous. This is one of the reasons why, you know, in the spring when we're talking about adding another super, it's that sweet spot. You don't wanna add that additional super too soon, or you don't have enough bees to protect and guard that area, and you're opening yourself up to, you know, pests like this small hive beetle. But the life cycle of the small hive beetle, you know, the adult's gonna lay eggs, and generally where the bees are not prevalent, right? In those nooks, crannies, even on that, bottom board, that's what I'm looking for. Then you'll have the eggs that will, you know, hatch into the larva in about 2 to 3 days, and they will develop for about 7 to 10 days, where then they literally at night, because they don't like light, they will crawl. I've never seen a video of this, although I'm sure there's one out there. If anybody Googles and finds a video of this process where these larvae are crawling out of the hive bodies down to the ground, please send it to me. I'd love to have that in my library, although that just really sounds repulsive. But they crawl out of the hive down into the ground about 4 inches, and they'll burrow down where they will fully develop into the adults. And then they come out of the ground, again, when, you know, the sunlight is not out, and find a honeybee colony close by, which often is right above them. So and then the cycle just continues. So it's pretty quick. So, I know some of my colonies, I've seen more small hive beetles this year than I ever have. And there's a number of different, and I did not send out this slide deck to you, but I will after today's session. There's a number of different treatments. I'll tell you, in my experience with talking with a lot of other beekeepers, there's nothing out there that's terrific, right? we do have a lot of different traps, and I have, different pictures of those. This is a picture of what's called a west trap. It takes, the place of your bottom board, where you have the bottom board, but you're also able to set a tray in there, you have something like a queen excluder almost above it, and you fill that tray with your olive oil, your beer, something like that, or fermented juice, that's going to attract your hive beetles down there, but the bees can't get there. You just wanna make sure you're checking it every so often. Things that are gonna attract hive beetles, if you have pollen is huge. If you have pollen that you are putting on and in your hives, and the bees are not taking it quickly, take it off, because what you are attracting are hive beetles. In fact, I belong to a beekeeping group, and they just bought, a bunch of them just bought, I'll say local pollen patties, that I don't know how they were stored, but they came with, additional eggs. Someone that has never had small hive beetle issues before, now her one hive completely crashed and the other two are having issues. Yes.
What I noticed is with the pollen patties, my lesson was I put too big of a piece in there, and then when I came back a week or two later, it was already infested with the eggs. So I started putting like little
Tiny pieces
little
in.
pieces, so they eat it, be done, and I can go. You know what I mean?
Good point,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Do you regularly put pollen patties on?
No, just like in the springtime. That's probably the only time I would do it. I think. I'm not
Okay.
sure what the correct time is, but.
Well, no, the spring is ideal,
Yeah.
because you're trying to get them ramped
Yeah.
up, and, you know, the pollen is what's needed for the baby bees, and if things are just starting to come around and bloom.
Would,
Yes.
would freezing the pollen patties for a few days, would that kill?
Yeah, that would work.
Yes.
Just okay, good, alright.
Yeah. And I know Valerie had mentioned something as far as keeping stuff in the freezer. I think she had mentioned 2 days. I routinely will freeze stuff for 3 days, because there's a virus that it takes that 3 days, and I can't remember which is which, so I just do everything for 3 days.
Can you keep honey in the freezer too long? I was just wanna ask that. Like if I kept it in there for 2 weeks.
It's actually really yummy frozen honey.
I've cut mine, I always keep mine.
But it won't
honey in
change.
the
It won't.
It's like gooey and like. It's
Okay,
really-
but it won't hurt it though.
Valerie,
Okay.
question, if I, let's say, have honey in the freezer for a year, is that too long?
I wouldn't think so, no, I probably had some in that year. Oh, but one thing, do you, I cover mine with saran wrap, do you tell them that?
As long as you cover it.
Yeah, cover them with saran wrap, and then when you take it out, that's gonna sweat, so you leave that saran wrap on until the honey is totally defrosted. And all that water will be on the outside, but be very careful to either dry it off or take it off, you know, get rid of that water, you don't want that to get.
Right, cause you don't want that 18.6% to now be bumped up to a 19 or something like that, cause it will ferment then. But yeah, I routinely keep mine in the freezer over 2 weeks, cause as I see a capped frame, I take it off, put it in the freezer. I don't do it all at one time. Yeah. So here are some samples. I know most of you have probably seen these trays. They work as, similar. This is just on a small scale. This is the whole bottom board. I have never used this West trap, and the Freeman Beetle trap is very similar. The only difference that I see is that you can kind of slide it out from the back. Has anybody ever used these bottom boards for hive beetles by chance? No? I've used these. Now one error that I see some people make with these is you wanna put these where the hive beetles are going to feet, right? So you wanna put them, on the ends, right? They're attracted to the corners where there's less bees. So don't put them in the middle, you know, you put it right between the frames. You wanna put it on the very end frame area, cause that's where they're likely to be. This is another trap that is very similar to this, except it has two areas that you can put the oil in, and then it has this like little arm that attaches to the frame to
And
hold
those are
it
easier
still.
to clean out.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause it like kinda snaps up those, are kinda disposable.
Yeah, these are, and I know of some people that use these over and over again,
Yeah.
but, you reuse these, right?
Yeah, they've got little, the lid can pop open, so you can literally clean it out.
Have you been successful with these?
To be honest, like we're
More successful? I
I
know, I know
I
some,
do think it's nice that you can clean the other one out though.
yeah.
It doesn't actually work, but it's really easy to clean.
You know, there's pros, cons. I know a lot of people use dryer sheets, unscented dryer sheets, now that's not, I don't know if that is, that has not been in any of my studies, that's like a, unapproved, method, but they propolis the bejeebies out of it. But generally it doesn't trap the bees so much, but the beetles will get trapped in it. I think it depends on the type of dryer sheet, cause the ones that I've been trialing this year, I've gotten nothing. But I have seen other individuals that have used the dryer sheets, and perhaps they've just had an infestation and I don't have that many, I'm not sure. But, if I had an infestation, my next thing that I would try would be one of these two things, just to try. Of course, there's always the soil treatment too, where you put it really kind of right under your hive so that, the hive beetles can't, it's an insecticide. My opinion, for what it's worth, I don't wanna put an insecticide right by my bees, I just don't. I know if you have a really bad problem,
I
shit.
did.
Did you?
I use food grade diatomaceous syrup, cause it's just like skeleton shells, you know, so it just cuts through their little bodies.
And that has
But
worked.
occasionally I'll get a bee in there, you know.
Occasionally,
Occasionally
okay.
I'll see a bee that's kinda gray looking and it's in my bee, but.
Okay, and that's worked for you?
Yeah.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
okay.
This-
Ann?
Yeah, I did it too, I was careful, I just did it just directly underneath the
Right,
hive.
that's what I
And
did.
just a very little, like, just pretty much right underneath the hive. I
Okay.
didn't like do it further out into the yard, and I've really not seen any, no,
Okay, good,
bees walking through
good,
it.
I've never done,
Is-
yes.
Is that a powder or a
Mhm.
liquid?
It's a
Yeah.
powder.
And you just
But I use
sprinkle
the
it on,
food
or
grade, yeah,
Not
carefully,
the
'cause
swimming
they-
pool,
you don't
not the
wanna breathe it
swimming
in.
pool.
Oh.
We use it for the chickens.
Yeah.
Okay, what's it called again?
Food grade diatomaceous
Right
syrup.
here.
DE.
Right here, and
Yeah.
I will
Great.
send you this slide deck too.
Yeah, I didn't send more.
I used to
Yeah,
use
it's the same
I
stuff.
was going over, I think that's the same word. But again, I was real careful.
The only chemical treatment that is approved, in the United States is checkmate. Now, checkmate used to be I guess it's still, used to be a varroamite treatment. However, resistance has built up with it, it is no longer considered an acceptable, varroamite treatment because it just, there's too much resistance. This chemical does, contain residue that will remain in your hives, so it's really kind of frowned upon. But it is still out there and it is still identified as a treatment. I don't know even, commercial beekeepers that I've talked to that have used checkmate.
I saw some on the Facebook posts are using starlight mints. Did you hear about that, like peppermints? I'm saying the
yes.
hard peppermints, the starlight.
I
ones.
actually was just in a hive
What is the
last,
mechanism here?
I was
Keep the
just in a
hive
hive
invisible.
last week,
Okay.
You know,
um,
smell?
that someone had she had the candy mints.
Right, yeah.
Scattered throughout, and she said she felt those worked better than even the traps, she had the traps.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about that, you know, these are beekeepers all over the world, you know,
Right.
and then they were just talking about the.
Yeah, she had those,
Yeah,
like all over.
same thing.
Yes.
So those are those little mints that they come red or green.
Uh-huh.
You use the green ones. Can they use that for food then for the winter? Those.
I don't know if the bees will eat them or not.
2 for 1.
There you go.
How do you taste it? Is that corn syrup?
Probably.
Probably.
I don't know.
if you need them in the winter though, really.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, cause
it-
hive beetles aren't really gonna be going into the ground so much, but they will survive in the hive, so
Okay.
it sounds like a really good experiment. And let's report back next year. Eric, are you gonna try that and let us know?
Yes, I will.
Report back? Alright, thank you.
So the mints, it was like the oils in the mints that was keeping them away?
scent.
Like
I
the
think
scent?
so,
So
because
if you
I've
put,
also
like,
been hearing essential oils.
Yeah, if you put a couple drops of essential oil, it should do the same thing.
But then the bees don't have that to eat if. I don't know, I mean, I was surprised, cause I had never heard that, and I saw all these mints throughout, and I'm like, you know, I see one, and I'm like, oh, she was eating a mint, and it dropped out. I didn't even stop to think she has the veil on.